Hello everyone and welcome to the Aylowe gaming channel. Welcome to returning viewers, welcome to new viewers. You're very welcome here. Welcome. So this is the Aylowe, what did I call this one? The Aylowe Animator Assembly Attempt Part 1. And the reason it's called that is because this year in college, so it's my second year in total. This is the first year of this 2-year course, but I did a 1-year course previously that we have seen videos of. This is the first. We had an animation module, animation principles, but it wasn't to do with animating stuff ourselves. It was to do with taking animations online, bringing them into Unity, and just setting up the animator to get them to work. So that is what this is. So it's not an animation, it's an animator assembly attempt. So we're going to jump right in to the video. And see. So Mixamo.com, that's where you can find loads of models and animations. If you have an Adobe account, you can sign in with that. It is free. Not an Adobe account, but you can set up an account. If you have an Adobe account, you can sign in with that in Mixamo, or you can set up another account. And it is free, so then you can pick what kind of model you want, what kind of character, and then you can download that and bring it into Unity, and then you can also pick what animations you want. And you can download that and bring them into Unity. So for those of us, because there is, in the college that I'm in, there is an actual animation course, which is a 3-year degree course as well. They would do more kind of animating stuff within Maya and that kind of thing, rigging, animating, skinning. I have messed around with a bit of that myself this year, and we'll get to that. But in this particular module, it was more to do with just getting animations to work inside of Unity without actually having to animate them ourselves. So I'm going to pick just kind of robot-y cyber guy, kind of like the look of it, so I'm going to pick that. There he is, untextured, in his T-pose. T-poses are very important for animations. His texture's loading in. Cool. So once you're happy with it, you can download your character as an FBX, or you can actually have FBX for Unity. I'm not entirely sure what the difference is. I think you can have FBX for Unity. Yeah, FBX for Unity. And download it. And that will take a moment, so it'll download, and then I'm going to look for animations. So here we go. I'm going to have an idle animation. I'm going to need to set up a idle, walk, and run, I think, for the beginning of this to make sure that they work. And then I'm going to assemble them inside of Unity in the Animator so that you can move from one animation to the other. Now there's hundreds of animations and things on Mixamo, so it's actually quite handy if you're not an animator and you're trying to build a game and you need animations. Mixamo is absolutely the right way to go. It's very handy. So we get the idle animation. We're going to get a run animation, so you can get a preview here of what it looks like. You can rotate around it to see. Now these animations and these things. So if you have a massive character, so I'm changing the arm spacing because the arms were a little bit too close to the body for what I wanted. So you can actually change how the animation works on the model, which I think is really cool. Because if you had a really big monstrous character, the claws might be clipping through the legs, so you can change the arm space just to give you that kind of distance that you need so that it doesn't look weird. So then we're going to have a turn right animation, and we're going to get a turn left animation. So I'm just scrolling through this because you don't really need to see me downloading stuff on Mixamo. We're just getting the animations. So we have the walk one, the turn, walk, run, turn right, turn left, idle. We're going to have a jump animation, see if I can get that to work. So you can see you can choose ones that have weapons, like look like they're holding weapons, and you just have to. I mean, I'd love to know how is this a jump? He's walking with a gun. That's a jump. That's a jump. So that's the jump, the crouch animation. So I'm just downloading anything that I think might be necessary to get these animations working. So okay, we're jumping right into Unity. I'm using the high definition render pipeline because it's now out, 2019.2.8, yo. Not absolutely unnecessary for this particular project, because this is just classwork, so it's not an actual assignment. This is just me practicing to get it to work. So this will just be a test scene. So all it will have is a terrain for my model to run around on, and then a model that runs. Hopefully runs. And we'll look at different ways of getting that to work. So you can do it by code. I mean, you can always do it by code, but you can access animation. You can have a character move with the root motion of the animation itself. So what you saw in Mixamo, when the character was running, it was moving forward. You can use that to move the character. You can turn that off and have something like a force or a transform moving the model instead of the root motion. So I'm downloading some other stuff that I think might be important. These things I tend to just download into any new project, because if I decide to go somewhere with it, I might need them. So like Cinemachine and the excuse me, the visual effects graph and standard assets and all kinds of stuff, just in case. So we've got all these here. We've got a crouch, a right turn. I've got all them. So what am I looking for? I'm gonna bring in some more stuff. Pro Builder, just because we were told in college to start using Pro Builder. I haven't used it yet at all. Ooh. And I think with that would have been post-processing. Yeah. Bringing Pro Grids, Shader Graph. We'll get into that at some stage. Shader Graph is pretty cool. I haven't used it as much as I would like to. Visual Effects Graph. Yes, this. I'm in love with this. This, I keep going on about this, is the Visual Effects Graph. So this is the new particle system within Unity 2019, within the high definition render pipeline, that lets you create particle effects that use the GPU instead of the CPU to generate the particles, which means you can have millions of particles and make really cool looking effects. I've seen some things on YouTube of like just reels of effects people have made using the visual effects graph, and the stuff you can do is just, blows my mind. Now, they don't have tutorials though, because it's new. So particle packs, I'm just installing stuff from the asset store. We don't need to see all this. We need to get back into Unity. It's an hour-long video. I thought this was going to be, but it's not, because this is the setup, terrain textures. I just need to add all these stuff in. Ironically, I never use any of it, but it's handy to have just in case. So downloading that, import it. So here we are. Now we brought the model I downloaded from Mixamo in. So here he is, player. He's not looking right because his materials haven't come in properly. Not a huge issue for this, because I don't need it to have a material. This is just me playing around with a model that I'm trying to get to move. So, but again, in case I have this problem in the future, might as well figure out how to fix it now, right? So this is going to take a while. A little bit better, not the best, because he's got a little, little things there that annoy me. Okay, so in the rig, he needs to be humanoid because he is humanoid. So we want to apply that so that he doesn't drop through the floor, which I've had them do many, many times. It's just drop through the floor. I'm going to go into, so we've got textures and materials for him. So I should put them into their own little folder if I wanted to keep things nice and neat. We've got the animations downloaded. I'm going to create an animator controller for the player. So this is what I will be setting up to actually control how the animations work. Drop that onto the player. And now we need an animator window. So if you don't have an animator window, if you're looking at Unity and you're like, where is the animator window? You just go to window, and then I believe there is an animator thing, and it will pop up the window and you can dock it anywhere here, like all these other windows. You'll see that in a minute because I need it, so I have to open it. So it's got an animator component on it. It's got the player animation controller that I created. The player avatar that's been downloaded, that came with the model, downloaded from Animator. That's the window. So then you can take this window and dock it anywhere. Yeah, so the player avatar was downloaded with the model from Mixamo. If you rig something yourself in Maya, and you export it as an FBX, it will have that player avatar as well. So this is what your animator looks like. So you've got all these states. So this is the default state. So when the game starts, it immediately goes to your default state, which will be our idle state. So you just drag the idle animation on. Check within the actual. No, this is on the player, haven't I? I'm on the player model. Oh no, I'm on the idle thing. So I want loop time on, so that it'll just keep playing idle whenever it's on this, so that it doesn't stop. And that's something to be aware of with all your animations. Do you want them to loop or not? So that's where you find that particular box to tick. So now we just play it and see if it works. So, and he falls through the floor. Like I said, this happens, but he is generic humanoid. His idle animation says it's playing, but it's not. And then he pops back up. Now I found that this usually happens. Don't need that. Usually happens because of this is idle, so I turned off loop pose. I don't know if that will help. No. So this is the idle. So because it's not humanoid. So you're gonna have to do it for all of them. Basically, all of these animations are gonna have to be turned to humanoid, so that they can recognize the humanoid structure and then animate them appropriately. But that works. So that's how you start off making your animations work, how you assemble your animator. Idle, you can see, and it loops. So as long as you're not doing anything else, he's always just going to be idly kind of shifting around. So that's cool. So then right click, create another state, an empty state. So we don't just want him to be idle, we need him to move. So we're going to make him walk. So we're going to right click on idle, make a transition to walk. So when you click make transition, it'll just give you an arrow that attaches to your thing, to your mouse pointer, and then you click on the one you want, the state you want it to transition to, and then you click on the line itself to get this little thing. Now, to set up how it goes from here to here, we need a parameter. So you saw we clicked the little plus there. You could choose an int, a float, a bool, or a string, I think, possibly some other ones, events. So is walking a bool? Is he walking or not? If he is, we will go from idle to walk. And if he's not, so we just made another transition from walk back to idle. Is walking is false, he goes from walk to idle. And it's very easy to test this out without any code. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to add another one, which is going to be run, I probably would imagine. Go from walk to new state back to walk. So we're going to have this be called run. We'll also would need another bool. Yeah, so I'm unticking these has exit times because if it has an exit time, it'll wait for the animation to finish before it transitions, which if you're just stopping walking, you don't want him to continue walking. You want him to stop and go straight back to idle. There are times like a jump animation would need to have an exit time because you can't go from like mid-air jump to walking, unless that's part of your game, in which case that's fine. So run, I made a bool, is running is true. He goes from walk to run, and if it's false, he goes from run to walk. And none of them have exit times. So it should be quite smooth. And if we want to test this, I can simply play the game and start clicking these. So is walking is true, and then it will switch. It will transition into the different states, and then I can untick it to make it false again and see what happens, and then running and all that. So with this setup, I shouldn't be able to go from idle to run, which it might be a bit of a problem. Now I think I'm just going into all of these to make sure that that loop time is on and that they are humanoid, not generic. So I got to go through that for each of these animations, which I think there is an easier way to do it. But I don't know. I don't care. This is fine. So he's idling, and if I tick is walking, he starts walking, and he's moving forward because root motion is on. And then if I tick is running, he drops to the floor. So I mustn't have made the run animation. I didn't put in a run animation. Well, that would also be an issue. You want the running animation, make sure that it is looped, and make sure the rig is humanoid, apply that, and then bring the running animation into the run state. There you go, click on that, and then bring running over into here. Now you can see when I downloaded all the animations, it actually downloaded the animations with their own models, which you don't need. So when you're dragging animations, then you have to like open up the model prefab and then find the actual animation. Or you can just tick this little circle beside the where you would drag and drop the animation into, and it will open up a search bar, and you can, if you know the name of it, you can type it in. So that's fine. That's kind of handy, just in case. So I'm now dragging this up because I think I'm going to make a little pyramid, maybe, because you want to be able to say, well, you should be able to run from idle. So I'm making a transition to this. So I'm going to make a little pyramid, a little triangle, and build it up. So if is walking is running is true, if is running is false, and is walking is false, then he's going to come back here. So it's all logic based. So what you can say is if is walking and is running are both false, then he's not moving, he's idle. If is walking is true, then he's going to go to walking. If is walking is false, he goes back to idle. If he's already walking and then is running is true, he goes that way. If he's not running and is walking is true, he goes back here. If he's not running and he's not walking, then he's obviously idle. So just got to set it up in a fairly kind of, just got to really think about what's going on logically. Which one is he doing? So there he goes. He runs from idle, and then he's back to idle, and then he's idling around, then he's walking, and then he's running, and then he's walking. He's running, he's still running, and then he stops and he's idle again. So easy way to test that it all works. That's how you assemble a basic animator. So far this attempt is going quite well. Now we just want to kind of make it work when you push buttons on your keys or on your controller. So we're going to open Visual Studios and create a script. I'm going to call this player control script. So to access the animator, we need to access the animator component. So animator, I'm going to call it anim or player anim, player animator, just player anim. That's fine. As long as you know what you've called it and it makes sense, that's fine. Is there anything else we need? I'm going to look at the player and see. Oh. Every time you move from Unity or from Visual Studios back to Unity, it takes a couple of seconds for Unity to catch up. Animator controller. I don't think I need it. There's nothing else on it. But I will need some booleans. I'm going to give it a speed. Okay, so I'm going to move it with code and without the root motion. Will I remember to turn root motion off? That is the question. Because if you have root motion on and then you're also trying to move it, you can really screw with the movement. Because you've got two different movement methods trying to move the object at the same time, and they can clash and cause some unexpected bugs. So the player anim is just going to be the animation component on the game object that the script is on. So that's you've seen me do that before in previous videos if you have watched any of my previous videos, and if you haven't, I recommend that you do. I think they're quite fun. And you get to watch me flounder around and do stupid shit and get mad at past me for being an idiot, even though present me is not that much more intelligent, let's be honest. Although in the very last video I did, which was the last, it was the Booster Blaster build part 5, currently the last in that series until I can have the time to get back to it. I did manage to fix a problem that I had in that video at the very end by just adding to a line of code. So I've learned that much, that I could just go in and in 2 seconds fix a problem that I'd been having for about 3 videos. So, going to college, you learn. That's why we go to college, to learn. So I'm going to try and move. Movement. I hate movement. Vector 3 position. So I'm just creating a vector 3, calling it pos, short for position. I could call it anything. I could call it Alan's position. I could call it, the moon, whatever you want. So it's, but we're going to make it equal to the position of this game object, the game object that this script is on. So, and then we're going to say, if you press W, and these 2 vertical lines, if you've watched my videos before, these mean or. So if you press the W key, or you press the, I would guess up arrow, if I wanted to go forward. This would just make sense. Up arrow, yeah. If you press either of them, then we're gonna move the character forward. How am I going to do it? Try moving characters even now, because there's so many different ways to do it, and they all work, that they all get jumbled up in my head, and then I end up taking bits from one and bits from another and then trying to mesh them together, and then that doesn't work because obviously I'm trying to do 2 different things, or 3 sometimes. So I'm going to say that the position of the game object is going to be a new vector 3, and it's going to be 0, 0, 10, because that's what we're saying speed is, with my serialized fields, we love them, multiplied by time.delta time. I don't think that's going to work. But then again, I've been wrong before, going, I'll pass Alan, I think this is not the right way to do it. I just don't think it's going to work. And then we're going to set the bool, so the player anim, which is the animator that we set up here. So we're going to go into that. We're going to find the bool, walk. That's what we've called it, I hope. If you get this name wrong, it's not going to work and it won't throw up an error. But we're going to get that bool and we're going to set it to true. I think I actually called it is walking. So it would be the bool that we set up where with the little tick box, so that when it ticked it, it started the character walking. I think I called that is walking. But I got really confused with these. So this was the first time we'd been working on anything like this, and I got super confused because I called the states. I got confused between the states and the bool, basically. So we're going to get out of this. We're going to go back to Unity, and I'll show you. No, we're not going to go back to Unity. We're going to say, we're going to call player move on the update function. Yes, that is important. Otherwise, it won't work. I got confused between walk and is walking. Like, I would try and call this in the script, and I got so confused. And my teacher, the one who hates me using serialized fields, he had to take about 3 or 4 different attempts to explain it to me until I went, oh, that's not the same as that. That's just the state that it is, and this is the bool that we're trying to get. So you'll notice that it's not going to work. Parameter walk does not exist. This, I know every time I move my current mouse, it brings up the thing in the video, which is kind of annoying, so you can't see really well. But if you look down at the bottom left, you'll see parameter walk does not exist. That is an error that is popping up on my console. Oh, I fixed it. It's walking. Cool. That was cool. Now, this is a recording I've done at home. I've basically done this in class. So this is my second attempt to assemble this animator, because I can't record when I'm in college. So I brought it home to just test it out. And then I also thought that we might be building on this this particular scene for our classwork. And we didn't. I ended up just using other scenes. So we went into projects and actual game prototypes and that kind of thing. So this kind of fell by the wayside. So this will be a very short series, basically. But it is an important one. So this was basically me messing around with trying to get animators to work, and learning how to get them to work, and the different ways that you can use them to move a character. So a very handy lesson to learn. I was going to just ditch these because I didn't think they'd be fun, these videos, because it doesn't really go anywhere. So if you're expecting this to turn into a prototype, I would recommend that you stop watching the video now, because you will be sorely disappointed, and then go and watch one of the other ones about my prototypes, or one of the upcoming series, which will be a lot more interesting. We're getting very close to my massive sci-fi RPG that I keep teasing and talking about. I'm trying to record these chronologically, so that when I get to the correct assignments, we've already had the kind of background of me working through these things. So that's why I decided to keep this in, because it's only going to be about 2 videos. And it's going to A, show what I've worked on in college, and B, show me learning how to get the animators to work, so that when we do get into the projects where I use the animators, we'll have seen me messing around with them and failing, and we can look back and laugh and go, oh, remember in that, animator assembly attempt series that he did, that he couldn't get it to walk. Although it seems to be walking now, so that is good. Go back into the code. So I've got the bool. So if you're pressing W or up, you're going to. Now the thing is, I don't know if he's walking forward because I've set the bool to true, because I'm still using root motion, or if this is having any effect. I don't think this is the correct way to move it, so I can't imagine that's having an effect. But just by setting the bool to true and false and using root motion, I can actually get I can get the character to walk forward. So if you're pressing W or up, it moves forward. Otherwise, which means you're not pressing W or up, he's not walking. And then you do the same. So for this is me, I think, attempting to do a run. So if you're pressing, and I did say this in a previous video, that if you have the 2 vertical lines, it means or. So if you're pressing W or you're pressing up, if either of these are true, then it will run this line of code. And I said then if you had 2 ampersands, 2 and symbols, that would mean that both would have to be true. And you would use it for like using Shift and W, which is what I'm trying to do here, for running. So I'm actually, I've mentioned that in a previous video, and we get to see it in practice now. So if you're pressing W and you're pressing Shift, or you're pressing up and you're pressing Shift, or left Shift, then you will run. If both of these are not true, then you will either be idle, or you could be pressing W on its own, in which case, or up, in which case this will be true. That will work. You should just be walking then. That is the way you do that. Nope, go away. Yeah, okay, so and then we're going to put in speed. I mean, that's going to be the same by time times time. That is the exact same as your walk. So I would need to have a walk speed and a run speed, or maybe like multiply speed by 2 to give it, just make it faster. Otherwise, I mean, if this line of code actually does do anything when root motion is turned off, then your walk speed and your run speed are going to be the exact same. So what will happen is you'll have a run animation, but you'll be moving at a walking speed, which will be, interesting to see, but not what we want. So we'll just have a look and see. If I press W, he walks. If I release W, if I hold Shift and W, yeah. So it is, yeah, and I release them all. When I'm not pressing anything, he goes back to idle. So it's, yeah. So I can run around. He seems to be going down a little bit through the floor and turning. Well, no, he's just running diagonally, I guess. No, he does seem to be. It does look like he's turning when he runs. Very strange. But there it goes, off into the distance. I'm not doing anything to turn him, so that would be an animation thing. That the run animation is slightly off-center to the walk animation, so that when you switch between them, he kind of goes that way. Which is the problem with downloading animations online. You can kind of run into some issues. But it does save time from having to hand animate things yourself. And if you don't have like motion capture capabilities, which obviously I don't, then the only option is to use Mixamo stuff that you can find on the Unity Asset Store maybe, or hand animate stuff yourself within Maya or 3ds Max or Blender or your software of choice. For me, it's Maya at the minute. Even though everything we've seen me 3D model so far has been in 3ds Max. But Maya, you will see me use a lot more this year. This college year, which is almost over. I'll get my assignments done, don't worry. If you watch the video I put up yesterday, on the 27th, I realized I had some assignments due. And I tried to work on them and my internet went. So, the assignment I was working on was, the way we were handing up those assignments was updating a website, a Google site that we made ourselves, to upload. It's a very handy way to kind of keep track of and hand up all your assignments. But you need the internet. So once my internet went, I couldn't work on it anymore. So I ended up just lying in bed and relaxing. So the universe just told me to take a break. Sorry, just got to respond to a message. So I'm basically doing the exact same thing for turning right. So we're going to add in the turn right animation, and then you're going to say so you're going to make it from walk. I mean, you could do it from run as well. This is where it gets complicated and you end up with a massive animator. But there are ways to simplify that, and we will see that. If not in this series, then definitely my sci-fi RPG TZ series. Bear with me. Okay, sorry, just had to write that message. So we have it basically, if turning right is true, you're going to turn right, you're going to go from if turning right is false, you're going to go back up to walk. If walking is true, if walking is not true, you go that way. And same for, I have is turning left set up, but I haven't put it in yet. So I think I'm just saving this. Yeah, this is where this particular video ends. So I'm going to save that, and we're going to pop back and check out what happens in the next one, in this one. So here we have it, right? So this is the second one that I've recorded. I have one more after this, which is an hour long, so that's why I said this is going to be a 2-part series. So we have right turn set up. We have all the transitions there. Not set up in code yet, but we've got our transitions. No exit time. If is walking is true, you want to go back to walking. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Sometimes my brain crashes more than Unity, but that's allowed, I guess. So we're going to set this up with code, basically the exact same as moving forward. So if you're pressing, what was this, turning right, so you're going to be saying right is the right arrow and D. So if you press D or the right arrow, you turn right. And otherwise, you're going to be walking, or you're going to be running, or you're going to be idling. Not all of the above. You can't be all at once. Unfortunately, I mean, you could try and do that and see how it worked. I don't think it would. So basically all these lines of codes are going to be the same for now. Player.set bool is turning right to true, otherwise is turning right as false. Is flas. Flas, that's not a word. False. And then we're going to jump back to Unity, check on it. So if I press, you can see the update down here in the animator because it's idling, and then it will, he turns right. He turns right. He's idling. He's idling. Let's just see, make sure, have a look. Ooh. He walks. He turns. He turns. He walks. He turns. He walks. He turns. He walks. So, I mean, he doesn't turn and walk at the same time. But we will get into what are called animation blend trees, which are ways that you can blend animations together, which makes all this a lot easier. And it makes your animations smoother and the transitions between them smoother. So that is a pretty cool thing that you can do. And I do it. Possibly not in this one because this was just me learning, but definitely in my other project, my third-person sci-fi. I mean, I took everything I knew and even some stuff I didn't and threw it all into that project, which is why it's not finished yet. And that was the first project we got this year. So 1 year later, 6 months. But part of that project was to do an alpha build, a beta build, and then a final build. And the alpha and beta builds are done and handed up. And now I'm just working on the final build and just trying to polish it off and get everything finished. It won't be finished. I can hand it up as it is now and get the result for the final builds, but I want to add more into it, or at least get what I've added into it working to a point where I'm happy with it. And this is where being a perfectionist kind of is a bit annoying, because I will never be happy with it. So now we're going to do turn left. So if you press the A key or the left arrow key, so we can just scroll through this, press A or press the left arrow, set the animation is turning left to true, otherwise set it to false. And this should work. So you can turn left, you can turn right. I'm going to have to create the state, so you create the empty state. Go through this again, change its name so that you know what it is, which is left turn. What am I doing now? Oh, sorry, I looked at my phone. And I got confused to make the transitions. There we go. So you're going to turn left if is turning left is true. I'm just going to send another message. Bear with me. I'm going to tell this person that I am recording, and I will talk to them when I'm done. And hopefully when this person sees this video, they'll understand. And they won't be annoyed. Broom, broom, beep, beep. So just follow along with the video. It's basically the exact same as I've done with everything else. Left turn, right turn, walk, run. They don't have exit times. All their animations are generic. No, not generic, are humanoid. And no exit times. And they should work. So he walks. He walks. Did he turn left? I wasn't looking at the screen. I'd like to say I assume he did, but he probably wouldn't because I didn't have any transitions between walking and turning left. He would only turn left from idle. So And as you can see, the more states we have and the more transitions, the more it gets a little bit difficult to see where everything's going and know how everything's interacting. So it's one of the challenges of doing this is to kind of try and have this laid out so that it's as easy to read as possible. So I'm not saying that that's what this is, or I've succeeded in that, but when you got all this, I mean, it's not the worst. I have seen worse. I think I've done worse. Oh, I definitely have done worse. Yeah, no, I had one because as well as having like this walk, run stuff, turn left, turn right, I also had the same for crouching within the same animator. So you had lines coming off and all these. Oh, it was insane. And you will see that as well, I'm sure. We're getting close to the point where most of my college work was done from home. So, not because of the COVID-19 pandemic that did not affect the start of my year, but anxiety and stuff kind of kept me out of college for a lot of this year. I went in as much as I could, caught up on everything that I could from my friends in the class, and worked from home. I feel like my brain has crashed. Past mute's brain has crashed. I'm not doing anything. What am I trying to say? I'm adding in a crouch. Oh, maybe I was going off trying to. Oh, adding in a crouch now? Oh, don't. Okay, well, we're going to see that. So, hello. Another shout out to Michaela, who is the one that was texting me, who I just told I was recording a video. She says, hello, video. So say hello to her in the comments below. Hello, Michaela. I hope you're having as much fun as I am today. I have been exhausted, and I don't know why. I basically slept most of today. The last few weeks I've been waking up at 6 a.m. and getting up and doing some work. Like, I'm working all day and then going to bed at like 11. And last night I went to bed at 11, woke up at 6, went back to sleep because I just couldn't get up. Got up and had some lunch and then just took a nap. But I've been trying to keep busy. That's the thing. Like, I know a lot of people are saying, how do you deal with the isolation and with not being able to go out and social distancing and all that? And the way I do it is I try to keep busy. So I'm working on my college assignments. I'm recording these videos. And then I'm reading books and playing computer games and watching TV and basically anything I can do to keep my mind occupied, so that I don't really have time to focus on what's going on outside of this little bubble that I'm in. But I think kind of doing that so much every day, and I'm never really like switching off or relax. I mean, it's kind of relaxing playing games and reading and stuff, but in terms of like everything I'm doing is to distract myself. I'm purposefully making sure that my brain is being kept as busy as possible, and I think it's starting to kind of hit home now and affect me, and just my brain is kind of going, I don't want to be busy anymore, even busy doing fun stuff that I enjoy. Like I'm reading the Wheel of Time? Where is it? It's down here. I'm reading the Wheel of Time series at the minute, and it's amazing. I love it. I'm on book 3 already, and about halfway through it. Robert Jordan, I'd say I highly recommend it. Check it out. But even that, when I pick it up to read it, I'll read one chapter and then I'm like, oh my god, my brain is just bleh. But I want to know what happens next. So I'm also playing the Final Fantasy VII remake at the minute. Yay, it's amazing. I love it. I'm going to replay it again as soon as I finish it, start a new game, or do the new game plus type thing. I think you can replay any single chapter with all your stuff on it. But even sometimes playing that, I'm just like, oh, and I'm at a really cool bit. I'm near the end of it. I'm in the Shinra building. And from the original game, I love this part, and the way they're like running around that building in 3D with the way they've done it is just, oh, it's gorgeous, and I'm loving it. But I think I'm getting to that bit in it as well where I don't want it to end. Like I know I'm coming up to the end and I'm enjoying it so much that I kind of go, oh, I don't really want to play it anymore. Does anyone else do that when they're coming to the end of a really good game, that they just kind of stop playing it because when you stop playing it because you don't want it to be over, but it's over by you not playing it anymore? Nah, maybe it's just me. So we have a bool is crouching or just crouching. Not the animator bool. This is a character bool. This is where things get complicated. So if the character is crouching, we're going to go into the animator and say is crouching is true, so it's going to play the crouching animation. We're also going to say that the character, so the crouching bool that we put up the top, is also true. Is false? Oh no, crouching would be true if you're, yeah. That means that we can set some code for, like I said, I had crouched movement, so walking forward while crouched and turning while crouched. You can set it up so that that stuff can happen while the character is crouched, if that makes any sense. Does that make sense? What did I say? What did I say? I know what I meant. You'll see it in action, basically. So basically you're saying that at the start of the game the character is not crouching, and if the character is crouching you can do stuff to it while it is crouching. Well, that's an easy way. So I'm going to throw in some... Did I download them? I did not. Oh, I did crouched walking, so I am going to do a crouched walk. And just see if that works. So that would be... I just remembered... I had set up a piece of code. I think it's not in this, no. So you'll get to see actually a better example of this in my sci-fi RPG when we're getting very close to that now. Might actually be the next. I feel like after this, chronologically, it doesn't really matter. I have the next one that I would have started would have been the sci-fi RPG, and then I have a couple of other projects that I did during the year that are shorter. Might want to get them out of the way first, just because it'd be quicker. Maybe I could alternate between them and get them out there. But in that, I wasn't crouched. It must have been armed. I don't think I have crouching in it anymore. I did. Well, maybe I did. And I was having some issues with the movements, and I showed a friend of mine who was better at coding than me. He would be our group coder for our group project. And he just looked at it, and there is a particular line of code that when you initially read it sounds ridiculous and makes no sense. I'm going to wait until we get to it to show you and to say it. It's quite funny. But it is to do with that, basically toggling between crouch and not crouch, and that's what setting the bool at the top would be. You can toggle between is crouched and is not crouched. So we're just, again, all the same. Set them all to humanoid, turn to make sure they're looping if they need to be, with the exception of a jump. You wouldn't want to jump to loop. And then if input, so we're going to say this might be give you a better idea of what I was trying to say. Because what I'm going to do is when you're crouching walking forward is going to use W as well. So you've got to be able to differentiate between kind of which movement you want when you press the W. So that's why we have a crouching bool that's within the player script that has nothing to do with the animator. So we can say, well, if crouching is true, then you're going to play the crouch walk animation. If crouching is false and you press W, then you're going to play the upright walking animation. That is why we have that boolean, so that you can use the same controls, so that you wouldn't have to have a different control system for crouch movement. You can have the same control just by toggling the bool on and off. So that is what I was trying to say. And I don't know if that's what I said, but there we go. So we're getting there, yeah. Is working is true. So this, I'll be able to just, every time I hit C, It should toggle the crouch on and off. Yeah, so player.arm set pull crouching is true and crouching is true. Yeah. If input.getKey code down.c is and if crouching is false. And this just means that I can use C to toggle between crouching on and off. So if you're pressing C and crouching is false, then you're going to crouch and make crouching true. Otherwise, if you're pressing C and crouching is true, which it would be if you were crouching, then you are going to make crouching false. And turn off the crouching animation and go back up to standing idle. So that's a way of toggling between states. Just using a bool. Quite handy, quite easy. So we're going to test it, we're going to play it, make sure it works. Press C, he should squat. Do a squats. Act like it's leg day. Come on, do it. So he turns right, he's idle, he crouches, takes a bit of a dump, moves forward, crouches. Doesn't look like he's crouch moving forward. Crouching. Walking. But not crouch walking. He's not crouch walking. Why is he not crouch walking? If input and crouching is false, is crouching. You need to. Oh, sorry, that was just the group project stuff. Hopefully, they're getting that sorted. If input, okay. So I think it would be the crouch walking. If crouching is true, crouch walk is true. So we've got crouch walk. Make sure that is set spelled correctly as well. Crouch walk looks to be, yeah. Player on must will crouch walk to true, so it should work. This isn't doing anything. Okay. Phone going crazy. I like that it's going crazy now. It'll make me look like I'm popular. It's been quiet all day. It's Murphy's Law. When you're in the middle of something, that's when everyone starts trying to get in touch with you. I normally have it set on silent, which is what I'm going to do now. So crouch walk is not working. Is crouching true? But it would. That's only switching between them. So we're setting crouching to true. If you press C, and we're setting it to returns during the frame the user starts pressing down the key. Starts pressing down. Yeah, starts. Maybe I need key code down. Still get confused between them. Key code down. In another video, I actually said that there was a way to remember it. I came up with a way to remember it in a previous video, and I've forgotten that way. So we're going to say if input.getKey down, keycode.c, and crouching is, it needs to be double equals. Needs to be double equals. So, oh, I changed it to key down. Okay. So I'm going to try that to toggle between them. So that's it. I don't have to hold the C button. It should just toggle when each time I press it. At least that's the aim I'm going for. You'll see if I get it to work. Let's jump back into Unity and test it. So we press C, he crouches. And he crouch walks in a weird direction, but he still crouch walks. No exit time. No exit time. Crouch walk is true. I'm gonna check this. It's got a loop pose. The rig is humanoid. Yeah, that all seems to be set up fine. So that's cool. That's cool. Go back to Mixamo. And I think I'm just going to start downloading all crouchy stuff. Crouch right turn, download one of them. Go download crouch left turn. So I'm just going to get a whole crouch movement system in. And try and set this up so we're creating a new state for crouch left turn. And a new state for crouch right turn. We're going to set them up the same way. So this is what I mean. This is where it gets complicated because it's going to branch out here and have another basic mess over kind of moving off from these. I don't have any walking backwards or crouch walking backwards or anything. So that's something else. And I don't have jump. So there's a lot of different movements that you can have in here that will just kind of make it a lot more complicated. But as you can see, we started out with just the entry and the idle, and we have assembled a nice animator. So, I mean, that is basically the goal of this assembly attempt. And I think it's been quite a successful attempt because not only can I test everything just by ticking these buttons, I've yet to turn root motion off though, so that'll be interesting to see if I get around to that in this series, this little test. I've also set it up with a very simple script so that you can use WA and D. I was going to say WAS and D, but I don't have walking backwards set up. So WA and D, or the up, left, and right arrows to move, and then C toggles it. So very simple script with just duplicated lines of codes, and it'll be the same when I bring these in. So we set these up the exact same way we set all this up, and then we create some bools for crouch walking left and right, and then we use this basically the same lines of code. So if crouch is true, and then if you're pressing these buttons, it'll left or A and D and right, it will do all these animations. So that's kind of handy. So it's one way to do movement through animators, and it's one way to set up an animator controller. It's not the only way, but it's one way. That's quite simple. It looks really daunting and complicated the first time you look at it. Well, even the first time you start working on it, so it's kind of like, oh my god, there's so much to it. There's arrows going everywhere, and there's all this kind of stuff. And you got to keep clicking on things and make sure everything's generic, and loop time and exit time, and root motion and all this other kind of tick boxes and parameters, and we haven't even touched on layers. I haven't used layers, so I don't even know what that's about. So there's a lot to it. But for the basics, it's actually, once you get into it, it's not that difficult. Just time consuming to set it all up. But everything in game dev seems to be a little bit time consuming. That's part of the joys. So this is basically it. So we're going to end it here, and then next time we will check out the next one and check out the next video I've recorded, see if these crouch walkie things work, see what else I get up to, and then that'll be it for the Animator assembly attempt, and we'll move on to an actual project again. So hopefully you enjoyed this, and hopefully you enjoy the next one. And so if you like the video, hit the like button. If you want to help out, because I'm a nice guy, so if you want to help me, share the videos, share the channel, and consider subscribing and hit the bell icon so you keep notified of all the cool stuff that's coming up, because we're very close to getting to that big sci-fi third-person RPG, which I'm very excited about, and I hope you are too. So thanks very much, guys, and I will see you all next time.